Dreams, the PlayStation 4 / PS5, Creation Suite. I don't want to call it a game because technically it's not a game. It's a creation suite. It's a set of tools for creators to create stuff. So I thought I'd do like a beginner guide, tips, tricks, how-to stuff, going from a nothing to a something type thing. So let's create a new thing. Okay, to start off with, let's get the basics out of the way. This is a blank scene. This is usually what you'll get when you start a blank scene. You'll get a platform, say you call that the ground or the starting point. And then we're going to ask ourselves some questions. The type of creator we are and the kind of tools we're going to use. Now, I'm not going to go into the sound section very deeply in this. That's its whole different category. I'll let people who do a lot of the sound stuff. If anyone out there does YouTube videos and is in Dreams as well, and your focus is audio, then by all means, you do a freaking audio guide. I'm more sculpts, character creation, that kind of thing. I'm also not going to go too deeply into the in brackets coding or mechanics. I'll touch on them, but that's about it. But let's ask the first question. Are we an additive or a subtractive type of builder? So if we grab, for example, if anyone's seen Elden Ring, the curled finger. This is an easy way to check if you're an additive or a sculptor or a carver, if you want to look at it that way. So if I grab, for example, get my, I don't know what you would want to call this, hotkeys, belt, what do we call it? Search, tools, modes, so on and so forth. Let's grab ourselves a sculpt. When you first place a sculpt, it'll be a cube like this. But to check whether we're an additive or a subtractive type of builder, we're going to grab a ball and we're going to stretch it out to about, say there, don't have to be exact. We're going to go to curl finger. So we go there, there, and there. Now, if you're a carver, as I like to call them, or a subtractive builder, now both these are they both do the same thing, but which one do you do more so? Now, a carver would do that, grab this, and they would remove segments to make it more the shape they wanted. Whereas a sculptor would go more there, and then add sculpts to the thing to make it more what you wanted. So if you're adding more sculpts to a shape to make it a particular object, then you're more of a sculptor. But if you're carving out of a base shape to make that same shape, then you're more of a carver. Now, obviously, both will use both tools. And once you've decided on what that you're going to be, and then you have to decide whether you're going to be a smear or a stamper. To get the smear and stamping, I am a stamper. I very rarely use the smear tool. But when you've got your sculpt here, you can actually change it to whether it's going to, like for example, if I go click and place, I just place it as stamps. If I press and hold, it still just stamps once, which means I'm a stamper. But if I come into here and go to my preferences and you can go into your controls, camera, and stuff like that. You got VR, social, dream shaping, tools. This is what I'm referring to here. This in the background can make a big difference. You can change it without coming into here, but generally speaking, you change it here, set and forget. If you change it from stamp to smear, and then come back into it and do the exact same thing I just done, grab that and then press and hold, it will continue to go while you're pressing. So all those are all little squares or cubes that are placed in the world. So that's where you have to decide whether you're a stamper or a smearer. Now, in another level of depth into that, if you're a smearer, if you go to there and go like that, if you notice, there's one, which is how to divide that by, two, whether it's hollow or not. Let me go up so you can see it. If I lift it up, you can hollow it out. As you can see at the top here, you can hollow it out. Then you got your looseness. So if it's like super sharp or super blurry, you can't. If I zoom in, you might be able to see it. Hang on. Come into here, you can see how it's less blurry. And then if you go down, more blurry, less. That's that. And then you got this. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. But if I back out and then go back into my preferences and go to there, there, and to there, and then do the same thing. Now remember it had 4. If I go to there and like that now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There is an extra mode here, which is your blend. So if, for example, I want to blend this shape with another shape, I can go into here, add some blend to it. We'll go about halfway so you can see it. Click, and then when I put a new one, as you can see, it's blending it. If I then come back into here and less blend, more blend, less blend, and more blend. So that is the main difference on being a stamper versus a smearer. Everything else, the hollowness, it still hollows it out, as you can see. It still hollows the top out. The looseness and sharpness, that's still the same. This one here, it's all still the same. It's whether you can blend or not, which is this one here. If you're using smear, that option isn't there. So you have to take that into consideration. Now, from this base creation here, if for example you want to make just a sculpt, you can press your square button, bring up, for now I'll call them hotkey, no, don't want to call them hotkeys, my menus. We'll call them menus, makes it easy. You've got your sculpt mode, your paint mode, your coat mode, style mode. Quickly going through it, that chooses your shapes. This one here chooses the brush. I've showed them in other streams. I'm going to do that there changes the, so you can paint this, for example. So if I choose a different color, okay, that color, I can directly paint on it. That's all that one does. It's pretty much just that. Then we've got style. That there you can loosen it. You can change the type of fleck it is. So if I come in close, those little squares, that's the flecks. So if I go to here and choose down here, that's all the different kinds of flecks you can have. So if you want it to be like a grass or a hair, you choose something like that one or that one. If you want it to be more like wool, you might choose something more like that one. If you want it to be more like water or clouds, you might choose that one, because if you look at that one and you go like that, it's more of a dot look to it. So that's how you choose the different style of flecks. So each one of those little different things you can see is a fleck. So the way you can change that is through either there, but without as much detailing being able to change, you can go into, I've got to keep remembering to explain it. Press left shoulder or L1 and then square. It can open up the control panel for that particular sculpt. And you can use this one here, and you can adjust some of those features. So like how, I don't want to say fluffy, but how fluffy it is. So like how, if I go this so you can see it. No fluff, lots of fluff. Looseness, lots of looseness, no looseness. This one here is to the view of the camera. So as you move it, whether it moves with the camera type thing. And this one here is ruffle, so it's variation. So as you can see, it's all kind of going straight up. If you do that, some of them will go that way, some of them will go that way, some of them come towards us, so it randomizes it. So that's one way of doing it. The other way is through the style one, you can come into here and then choose fluffiness, added fluff. So there's that way. Okay, and then we got this one here is effects, which can also be done in there. There's the same menu there. This is if you've got a stream or an ocean or something like that, you could turn around to this and go, okay, we'll add, just to make it so it's easier to see, we'll make that a little bit looser and a little bit fluffier. Then we can open up this one, we'll go flow, for example. We'll add a heap of flow to it. It's given the effect of it's flowing to one side. To change the direction that it's flowing, go into your style and go choose comb and just do that. Just wherever you start, click, and the direction you move to is the new way it should go. So in theory, if I now play, it will go the way I'm facing. See, if I do that way, it goes that way, that way, that way. So if you need the water to flow in a certain direction, you don't have to rotate the object. You can just comb it in the direction you want it to go to. In the same aspect of this, you can also go to the outer color and the inner color. That's what I call them. They're not actually called that, but if you choose that one, you can choose, for example, we'll go, that there is your painting. So if you grab, if we click on it with the L1 and X, we go into paint mode or to sculpt mode. If we come down to here, choose the paintbrush or spray can and choose a color. So if we want to make water, we go to blue, that color. Wherever this touches, you can see it's blue. So that's the outer color. But then if we want to go the inner color, we come into here, it can still be using that, but we can also use it, so we turn that off, turn that on. This will be the color we use with that one. So we can then change this to we'll say a light blue somewhere. We'll go more like that. So the inner color is now a really light blue. And we can even add a little bit glow to it. Or we can add the hue. This here won't change if you're not using this one here. Because all this does is if that's blue, for example, you have spray painted blue on there, and then you change this, it can change from a blue to a red, and you can change the thing that way. But if you're using this one here, you change it through that. So there's no need to change that. So we can go to the outer one. So using that, we go to this one. We're going to go to a darker blue. Something like that. Kind of looks like water. You can tweak it. For example, you could go water is shiny, so you turn the gloss up. It is also a little bit more on the metallic look, so we go to metallic. There's some water. That is all in the sculpt options. So we haven't actually made anything per se, but it's changed from a basic cube to flowing water. And now let's just say we want to make a character or a phone box or something like that. how do we make that shape? So we can just go along, grab a cube, and go boom, phone box. No. We can go into it while we're in its thing. So again, left shoulder or L1, X brings up that to go into, or square brings up that. So that's left shoulder and right shoulder. Think of them as short keys. What we're going to do is go into it. So we're at that. I'm going to come down to here. I'm going to choose these ones. That one will let us loosen it. That one will let us paint it. So if I want to change the color, like for example, this is set to blue, it will paint it blue. There's the smear and there's the stamp. How I was saying before, you can change it in through here, or you can go set and forget in the options. You can choose the smear here if you want to, but we're not going to worry about those two just yet. That is to delete it. That is to clone it. So if you want to make a clone of this, you can use the two bulls to clone it. So if you select it, you'll get the bull icon. You will clone it. But we're in here. We're going to grab the arrow, which is the stretch. So click it. We can then select the top. So that's about the same size as the phone box. Now obviously a phone box isn't just a cube. It's got windows and stuff like that. Now we're not going to make a high detailed one because we're making a game and it's going to be in the distance, or we want to keep the thermal down or whatever. We can grab the shapes tool. We're on shapes. So if we grab, we're still on paint, aren't we? Yep. We want it to be on the surfaces. So as you can see there, the cube is behind it. We're going to choose this one here so that it snaps to the front. Then we're going to choose the same color so it's less confusing. So it's on the front. What we're going to do is come down to here. I'm going to choose add or subtract. This is where I was saying you're an additive builder or a subtractive builder. We're going to subtract. So I'm an additive builder. But to build this, I'm going to do some subtracting. So as you can see now, it's cutting away. So we're just going to scale it down a little bit. We're not going to be too pedantic on whether it's exactly where we need it to be. We can fine adjust it later. So if I place it right now, oh, it's not exactly where I want it to be. I can still move it, so it's not a huge problem. And as you can see, it's not even straight. It's not aligned with the things. I can go into it, left trigger, and I can rotate it on its axis. Wherever my cursor is touched, it rotates it from that point. But we want to align it straight to where the cube is, this one here. So we're going to do that and push triangle. That will align it so it's exactly the same orientation as the main cube. But be aware when you're doing it that if precise move is turned on, which is down here and to there, that does not always align directly where it needs to be. It'll randomly choose an alignment. So generally speaking, I turn that off, snap it, and then come back in and turn precise back on if I want to precisely move it. Precise move allows you to come in and go, oh, I'm going to move it slowly. That cube there actually isn't straight, so I want to go there, there, and go click. Now they're both perfectly aligned. Now, because we're making a phone box, we can either have a slight indentation like this and align it to, let's quickly go to clone, copy it across, and as you can see, we've now got an indentation. So you can make an ATM or whatever, but that's not what we want. We want like the old police box in Doctor Who, so we'll just scale it down a bit. So while hovering over it, up and down the D-pad, we'll scale it down. So we're going to scale it down to what we think is roughly the right size. So that looks about right. So we'll go back and clone it, move to the side. That's looking a lot better. And then while we're on the clone, we can just go straight down, do it once more. Oh wow, that is not Not even whatsoever. So now we've got the pattern, but it doesn't look like there's windows. That's where the paint tool comes in. So you come now into here and go, this one. You don't have to, but I've got a habit of not liking that be on minus. So I'll come back to here, put that back on plus and all this. It doesn't change a thing, but it's just me being me. Or on paint. So we want to make a Doctor Who, so let's paint it blue. I'm not going to paint all of it. As you can see the backs, it's only where when you're painting, it's only where the cube is touching. So I'm not going to worry about the back, we'll just worry about the front. We want them to be windows. So glass, we'll choose more of a grey. And then we can scale it to roughly the same size. And you can literally just go, I'm not going to be exact, it could be a stylish thing. Let's just quickly whack it in. That looks a lot more like a police box than what it did. But me being an additive person and me being the type of person that likes details, there is something else we can do. We have a full cube here with the indentation. To keep the thermal down, we're just going to clone this one. Then we're going to come in here, we're going to rotate it. That did not align. It's going to be a pain in the butt. Okay. Right, we'll cope. And then we'll move it forward till kind of roughly there. I'll scale it down just a little bit. And we're going to move it back. Again, it's not perfectly lined up, but it's just showing you how you can do stuff. And you can scale this to the point where it's just covering the spots for the glass. So it's now just covering that, and we can grab this, open up with the left shoulder and square, and we can now go, okay, glass is shiny. It's more of a metallic look. And so we can paint on it, or we can use this. We can go like that and have more of that. But we're going to leave it on paint. And then we're going to grab the paint tool. We're going to grab black and paint it black. And then we're going to grab the white and go to the blend. So this one here. I'm just going to turn it right up. As you can see, it fades the edge of the square away. We're just going to do that, and do that, resizing it. So while you've got the left shoulder and square open, you can then grab each side of the shape and change its shape and size individually. So now we've got this weird rectangle. We can then go like this. That doesn't look quite. Let's have a little bit less blend. About there. Choose an angle. We'll go click, click, and click. So without looking at the back, we've now got a phone box with glass in it. We can even make this more rough. Go full metallic. Shiny thing. We'll add a little bit of luminosity to it. That looks pretty good if you ask me. Now, obviously, if you're going to do glass, metals, and stuff like that, ideally you'd get the looseness, and you'd make looseness and the impasto, and you turn it right down. And if you're going to make more of like a furry, like if the phone box is furry or like it was covered in moss or something like that, you'd go like a looser one with more impasto, and it'll make it look furry. There is also another way of making Like both those there are set at the same. But if we want this to look smoother than that, we can also come into here, grab the tools, and grab the sculpture details. Click on that and you will see that is pale blue and these are red. The more red it is, the finer the detail is and the more intense it will use your different thermals. So at the moment it's on loosen. So if we click on this, we will loosen it. So you'll see it will go from red to more of a blue. And if we put it on plus, we can then up the detail. I don't think that will get much more than what it is. But so now, as you can see now, that looks furrier than that. So we've loosened this off, or lessened the detail of this, and we've raised the detail of that. So think LODs in normal games. As the stuff gets further away, you want less detail, and as it gets close, you want more detail. It's basically the same thing. What it is doing in the actual programming of the thing is this one here, you've told you want lots of detail. So it's gone, okay, those little, those little squares, put more of them in there. With this one here, those little squares, have less of them. And that's how it determines the detail, which is very similar to the, if you open that up, and this one here, and this one here. It's more so that one than that one, but yeah, because this one here makes them so that this one here, each little square, if it's all the way to the left, they will be more closely aligned. If it's more to that side, it'll be okay. We can variate that a little bit. With this one here, it's more how close they are to each other. If it's all the way to the left, they're as close as you can get. If you go this way, we'd have a bigger gap. This one here is the angle. If there's an edge, do you stay with the edge or can you ignore the edge? That's how those work. So that's how you can create a very basic something from nothing in here. Now, just say we wanted to make this, but more usable in the actual thing. We might go, okay, we want to put a door on it. So in that aspect, we'll get rid of that. Let's delete these little cubes. We want to put a door on this. So what we can do is we can clone it like this. We're going to grab this front one. While we're on the, again, left shoulder square, brings that up. We're going left shoulder and cross to bring that one up. So we're editing it. So you can see the little white outline means we're editing it. We're going to grab the arrow again. And we're just going to make it whatever thickness of the door we want. This one here, as you can see, the little white outline, left shoulder cross. We're now in that one. We can't edit this one because we're in that one. We're just going to go square. Not on paint, but we're going to go stamp. You can go smear, stamp, because I'm a stamper. Cube, we're on, and minus. We're going to choose a color. As you can see now, I can stamp the square. So I'm just going to scale it down a little bit, stamp it. Then we're going to align it to the base cube. So, like I showed before, in it, press left trigger, triangle. It's aligned. We can then grab precise move it as far back as we want the interior to be. So we'll say there. Then we're going to move it down until the top has a top. Then we're going to grab the arrow again. And we're going to scale it down. So we now have the, in brackets, cupboard or locker or phone box, and we have the door. If you don't want this item and this item to collide with each other, you would use the collides with, and the labels. So if we open them both up, again, hover over it, left shoulder or L1, square to bring up that. We're going to go to labels. This one here is a door, so we might go, we'll go object. And this one here is the thing, so we'll go machine. Just remember you've labeled that as machine, and that is a object. Then we're going to collide. And if we turn off everything, this should not collide with anything. But because we've got this here labeled as an object, we can turn everything on except for the object. So this now will collide with everything except for anything that's got the label as object, which this has. And you can do the same. Oops, wrong one. The same with this one. Collides with. Wrong way. Like this, like this. So this one here is machine. So we want to make sure it collides with everything except the machine. So those two shouldn't collide with each other now, but they will collide with everything else. Now we're going to move this back to roughly where you want it to be. Now, this is where you start getting into some of the mechanics of the game, or the program. It's like, how do we make stuff move, or whatever. We could just do this, add a keyframe, grab the object, oop, wrong rotation, rotate it, save it, and now every time that plays, it will swing. But we don't want to do that. We want to make it so that it actually swings with a hinge. So what we're going to do, this is where adding stuff to then delete it later is a good idea. We want to make this hinge off this. So what we're going to do is this is my little tip. We're going to go to the edit section so we can edit that. We're going to add a cube. Now it doesn't matter what size it is, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's going to be deleted straight afterwards anyway. So we're adding a cube to there. Excuse me. It's so that we can do this alignment a little bit easier. So we're going to back out. We're going to go into this one here, gadgets. We want then this one, connectors. And we want not a ball joint because we're not making like a wrist joint or anything like that. We want the bolt. You can use a motorized bolt, but we don't want it powered. We want it loose. So we're going to get that one. Then we're going to click up here somewhere. And it goes straight down. And this is where we added the square. Straight down to that square. And we're going to go as far down as we can go. Place it. Now if you look at that there, it is now relatively lined up where we want it. But it obviously isn't exactly where we want it, so we're going to manually come in here. We're going to adjust it to where we want it. Up and down doesn't matter. It's more so in the way. We want to go into about there and ever so slightly tilted that way. And we can just align those straight up and down. So for visual guides. Then we're going back into this and delete that cube. So now, if it'll let me, if I click on the door here, it is actually pivoting from that hinge. It will rotate on the hinge. As you can see, it's not exactly lined up because as I rotate it this way, it will slightly warp, but that's fine adjustments. You can come in here and go, okay, and maybe it needs to be tilted more that way a little bit. So we've now got a door, but we don't want the door to be able to go all the way around. Like the door can literally rotate through like that. We want the door to stop to here. So we place the door how we like it. Then we're going to hover over the thing, and again, left shoulder, square for that. Then we're going to come in here and go, okay, use limiters. Now, The yellow markers are furthest it can go that way, furthest it can go that way. And we are, we are the furthest, would stop moving please. We're the furthest we want it to go in the way. So we're going to grab this one, slide it all the way to that side. Springiness and tightness, we're not going to worry about that just yet. Why did you move? Oh, because, okay. We need to move that one back. Move this one that way. Actually, let's turn it off. Let's reset it. Come on. Rotate. Okay, let's try that again. There. Oh, dear, oh dear. Okay, so that's as far as we want it to go, so we're going to move that till we get to how we like it. Move that. Why does it move? Oh, I'll bet you any money. It's that, okay. I got that. Okay, done. Hope you saw what I did. So now, it won't go in the way, but it will come out the way. So if I grab it, we'll go this side. Okay, why is it not? It's not letting me. Oh my god, my controller, there we go. So you can see it rotates there to there. Obviously, the further out you want it to go, you can make it go out. If I then grab this, we'll go into there. Got to remember, people might not know. Square. Gadgets. Green is sensors. I've done a quick little thing here. We want logic and processing. Microchip. This is a blank chip, so we're just going to place it on the thing. That'll do. Place that like that. We're going to do a quick little logic thing. We're going to go the green one, which is your things like value sliders, switches. But the one we want here is the controller sensor. Quickly place one of them in. Now left shoulder and square, so we can edit it. We're going to go across to this one, which is your possession method. Can't possess, can possess, follows imp, or remote. We want remote. We're going to leave it open. I'm going to grab a logic processing selector. Place it in. Then we're going to choose what button we want to activate it. So if we come across here, we want square. We're going to run the square, the little knobby on the right, to the little knobby on the left here that has a little arrow for next. We can now close this. Shut. We're going to grab a keyframe, place it at the top. The little record, stop recording thing is that means we are recording. So whatever we do now in the world will be added to this keyframe. So what we're going to do is going to go left trigger while on the door and just move it in any direction we want till we get it aligned. You'll get the weird looking hash on it. Save it. That keyframe now will move that door to that spot. So we can then go A to the little power button. Then we're going to grab another one. Again, it's now recording. We're going to grab it and open it. Stop recording. And as you can see, B to there. So now when we go to play mode, because this is set as a controller input, controller sensor, as a remote, whenever square is pressed, it will cycle between the two. So because I'm in because the little play's going here and the stuff's moving. I'm in preview mode. So whenever I press square, it will change closed and shut. So I can close that. So when it's open, just hover over it, left shoulder and circle, we'll close it. If I now go into here and go to play mode, I can now move around, and whenever I tap square, it will cycle between open and closed. Go back into edit mode. So anytime you're in play mode, this sensor here will go, okay, whatever you press on your controller, you to do. If you want it to be set only if you're in range, you can come into here, gadgets, sensors and input, and then you can grab a trigger zone. We'll place that there. Then we're going to go left shoulder square. As you can see, there is a big green circle. That is the detection area. Let's go square. Let's grab the center. Move the center of that to the center of that. So right now it is detecting 2 meters in any direction of the center of that object. It will then put out an output. Now, what do we want it to detect? Let's say we want to detect the imp, which is the little red thing, the cursor. We'll do that. So when this red imp is inside that square there, I can then use it. So that's all good. So let's go to here. Let's grab the sensor, left shoulder, L1, square, open up that, and just run detected to power. So now, whenever the imp is close enough to that gadget, to that object, it will turn that on, which means we can toggle it. So if I now go to play mode, if I put my cursor over there, press square, nothing happens. If I bring my cursor down to here, it'll open, because the imp is within that square. So that's the basics on the logics. Now, if you wanted to make a sound when it's opening and closing, let's go back into edit mode. We're not going to make our own sound. We're simply just going to search. Here's where we can search. My suggestion is go down to your find creator content. That's content created by Media Molecule, the people who made the program. Go across to your find sound effects and find something that makes a sound that let's see. You know, that one will do. Now that sound will play anytime it's powered. As you can see, it's powered on right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab, again, gadgets, logic, and we're going to grab a signal manipulator. Now we're going to place that there. L1 square. We're going to go to pulse. 0.1 of a second. We are then going to grab B, put it into there, that, into there. So now when B is triggered, it will pulse that once. It's on play once anyway. So in theory, we could literally not worry about that. In fact, I'll show you this. We'll go there to there. So when B is triggered, it will play that once. So let's go back to the play mode. Get our cursor nice and close. It now makes the noise when you open it. And if you want it for close, you do the same thing. So we can grab the clone to there. Go from the A to there. the catch here is it's gonna, when you start the game, it's gonna trigger that noise to make that noise, trigger A to make that because it's on A. So when you get a play, it makes the noise straight off the bat. And if every time you open it, it'll make the noise. To avoid this, the most, I don't want to say it's the simplest way, but the easiest way to do it is you get yourself a timer, which is there. We could, actually no, we could get this one here because we can go from this to this and go when it is powered. We're going to grab a pass-through, or as it's called here, just a node. We're going to grab that to there and go like that to the power button. So only when our cursor is within range will it then send the signal. So now when we're there, nothing, but the second we come near it, it'll make the noise. We could also, as I was doing before with the timer, have the timer set to a random time. 5 seconds sounds fine. And if we get it set to, say, detected, that, to that. When we power that, it will have a delay of whatever that's set to before it makes the noise. So we now go back in, no noise, solved. In this aspect here, fiddle with it. That is my best advice with this game. If you want to do something, fiddle. It's like, oh, how does for example this thing work? Make a creation, plonk it in, play with the settings. Oh, what happens if I click that? Or what happens if I click that? Click it. Do a play. So click on it, come into here, go to play mode, see what happens. In theory, when I come near it, like this, that was 5 seconds later. So you could turn around and say, okay, this is only to make that noise if. So we're going to go, wrong one, over to here. We're going to go and. So we're going to tell it if it's powered, and that, then play that. That's one way you could do it. Or you could say, add a timer. If that timer has not got a reset or anything, it will be automatically powered. So we can turn around and go 0.1. So it's going to be like super quick timer. Or we go 0.5. It's half a second. When it's A and half a second, or we can go when it's within range and half a second. So we're going to go within range and half a second, because we are not going to be within range within half a second. That's near on impossible to happen. So we're going to go those two. So what we're seeing here is it can only make this noise here if we are within range and that is completed. But we don't want it triggering when that happens. So we're going to grab our thing. We want to be able to trigger it when that happens. So we'll do that. So right now, this will only power up if we're within range and it has been more than that time. So if I now start it, made the noise, Oh, I must have been in the square. Okay, let's rewind. Keep it over here. No noise. Sounds promising. That's why you fiddle. Again, there are multiple ways you can do this. As I've stated before in some of my videos, there is no wrong way to do it. There's less clutter ways to do it. There's faster ways to do it. There's easier ways to do it. You cannot do it the wrong way. That's pretty much all I can really show you to get you, the gist of what everything does. I have seen some people actually grab this and they'll grab, where are we? Where is it? That one. Place it on the piece. So this one here, whenever it's moving, you're going to have a signal sent out. So you can see acceleration, stuff like that. So if I come into it in test mode, let's back out to here, and if I move it in any way, you can see how all these things light up because it's moving. You could wire up any of these to that sound. And then anytime that moves, it will make the sound. That is a way you could do it. And that is like, what, one chip there, that chip there, and the controller. That's like super simple. But if you're not sure on how to do it, then that can be like, what do I wire it up to? That's why I say fiddle. Click stuff into locations, like what happens if you go a trigger zone. So if we grab the same trigger zone here, we'll copy it. What would happen if I go like that? Grab it from there to there. What would that do? Well, I know what it'll do because I fiddled with it. It'll be whenever I move my cursor within that cube, it will make the noise. But if you don't know that that does that, the best way to find out is to do it. The chance of it breaking something is really remote. And if it does do something, like if you're in here and you go, let's play test. Now when they go in range, it plays, oh no, that's wrong. That's not what I wanted. Just simply click on there, edit, press left or right on the D-pad. Left goes back. So as you can see, it's brought that back up. Go left again, and it has now put it back to where it was. So left is undo. Then you press right on the D-pad. It'll put it back. So left and right on the D-pad will go forward and back in undos and redos. So if you make a mistake, no dramas. So there's your basics. I'm trying to think if there's anything I missed. Views. That's so you can see your thermals. That one there hides and shows the connectors. That one there, so you can see through things. So if you've got, for example, like the chips, turn that on and off, show and hide them. That will hide the chips in general. That will show any zones. Now, the zone that we've placed, it's not showing up now because it's inside here. So we've got to go inside there and then it will show the zone. Even though we haven't got any of them selected. When you select it, it will also show the zone. What else have we got? Rulers, so there's all self-explanatory guides, auto grids, that's the grids. So if you're doing that one, the item you grab will snap to the grid. That one, it will smooth along the lines. When none are on, it will literally be wherever you move the cursor. Studio lighting. changes the lighting system. The floor turns on your guide. That would turn the paints off. So if you've got a paint, actually I better quickly show you that as well, I suppose. Paint is like that. So it is literally a line of flex that is placed. But a cool feature with this is if you select it, unlike this object, it doesn't have a transparency mode. This one does. So if I back out and go transparency, we can make it see-through. We can also, if we come up to here, have fades. So you can have a fade in at the beginning, fade at the end. We can also, if we come into here, or here, oh, wrong one, that one. We can adjust, like with the other ones, how thick it is, all that sort of stuff. If we go to this one, we can add the flow to it. So if I thingy, as you can see, it's doing like a flow. So you can do all different things to it. This one here, add animations to it. This one here, more animations. This one here, whether the flecks are in line or they scatter. This one here, if you want this to be dynamic, click that one. And then you can add floppiness, wind, like where the wind's blowing against it, how much gravity it's got. So if gravity pulls down lots, you'd add that extra. I'm not going to go into details of what each one does, but if you want to play with it, jump into it, give it a play. This one here is for if you've got it attached to, just say, the door on this end. If you click this one, you can then attach this end to something else, and it can work like a belt or a cable or something like that, or a chain. So if you make it look like a chain, you can actually have a chain. Again, labels. So if you want it to be labeled as something, you can label it as. But that's the paint tool. And going back to the other one, if I go into that one, if I turn that one off, that disappears. This one here, any of that sort of stuff will be hidden. So as you can see, the square itself is still there, but that little dot there goes away. So if I've got, for example, all those cables, now you see them, no you don't. It's if it gets way cluttered. Now let's move away so it's not blonging all the time. In fact, let's delete that. Up. Hover over it, push triangle to delete. So if it gets way cluttered and you go, I can't see what anything is, do that. It's less detailed, but you can see, okay. If something is powered on, so for example that is powered on, you can see it's lit. If it's powered off, it'll be unlit. So if I grab that, lit, unlit. So that's a darker color. So if I get rid of that, it's a brighter color. That's how you can tell if it's powered on. So that's a duller color, that's dull, but that's bright. So that's triggered. That's bright, that's bright. So they're all triggered. I think that's pretty much. Hover effect is the little white lines. If I turn that off, the little white lines. Coat and style. So all the water effects and stuff like that, that gets rid of it. Because that is a coat and not a paint, when you do that, that goes back to the original color. Because remember, we changed this one, but we didn't change this one. So this here is showing this one here. Thermal shown. Let's see anything else. Tweak. When that's active, it literally does the same as the short key does. So if I select something now, like that, it will bring up that. Instead of hovering over it with nothing and going L1 square, it's just through to there. Delete, hover over it, triangle, deletes it, or have that, hover over it, trigger, gone. Show hide, whatever you click on, puts it in the show hide options. Freeze, if you're making a creation, you don't want people to edit something, or you don't want to accidentally edit something, you can freeze something. So now when I'm editing, if I try and do something with that, it's like, nah, you can't do it, it's frozen. Let's go back into here, unfreeze it, back out, now I can move it. And as you can see with the door too, the door doesn't interact with that, but it interacts with the water. So if I move it up like that, it's hitting the water. Because the water isn't the same label as that, which if I remember correctly was machine. Let's see. I'm not going to go photo mode, so sound mode, brings up the sound mode. Again, if anyone does a lot of sound stuff and you got a YouTube, your own YouTube channel, feel free to do one. Tools. That's to record sounds. That's for puppeteering. Unless you're using actually I'll quickly show you this. We'll grab a grid, cube. Now if I grab the puppeteer, when I move stuff, it will like record so that you can puppeteer stuff. Stop that. Keyframe is literally you place it like I showed you before. Stop recording. Let's delete that. Timelines are for multiple keyframes. So if you made a keyframe and you want it to blend between one keyframe and another, you can literally go there to there. So it will then blend from there to there. When this is playing, you power it, it plays. Again, I'm not getting into the details. This is for basically beginners or someone who's like, oh, I didn't know I could do that. So you could do that. What else have we got? Showed all that. Action recorder is if you want to make a moving platform. If I do that, okay, then if I play, it will play, because that's always powered, it will then move the water to how I moved it. It's that simple. That's all those. Cameras, globals, screen effects. Again, I'm not going to get too deep into it. So I think that's it. That's how to make something from nothing. So we made a cupboard that opens and closes. Hope this helps. People who are like, ooh, what's Dreams about? Or how can I start in Dreams? What can I make in Dreams? At the current moment, the gaming industry is dead. It's a corpse floating in the water. And a lot of these game companies, without bringing it into it, CDPR and all sorts of stuff, they're not helping it at all. They're making it worse. So I'm running out of things. Like nothing's got. Oh, this is awesome. Better stream this. So if there's anything you're stuck on with Dreams, again, leave a comment. Say I'm stuck with this. Or if you're in Dreams, look me up. Live F to me. Throw me a message. Say, look, dude, I'm stuck. I want to do this. Can you help? If I know how to do it, or I've done it, or whatever, I will throw you a message back saying, yeah, I can help. Here's a creation I've done that either helps you do it, or I will help you do it. We can collaborate, work it through and stuff like that. If you're thinking about getting dreams and going, should I or shouldn't I? If you're not a creator, not save. Oh, I'm not a creative person. I don't want to create. Don't let that deter you. You can come into here and go, dream surfing. You can literally think of this as Steam, the Epic Store, all those kind of things, but free. So, oh, I want to play a game. Dreams of people I follow. There's some creations. So I don't have to create anything. I can go, let's see. That one. Play. Without creating a single thing. If it will load. Okay, why is this one taking so long? Let's click it again. I think that's a bug. So right now I'm playing something and I've created absolutely nothing. So you don't have to be creative to play it. This is obviously a music jukebox thing. What are you going to call it? If that's not your cup of tea, find something like audio visual. That wasn't my thing. That's a game. I can play a game. That's a showcase. It's a single player game. It's a short, so it's more like a movie. There are multiplayer games, but it's not multiplayer as in two different consoles. They haven't got that feature in the thing. I wish they would add it. I don't know how hard it would be to add it, but at the moment, if I go to my creations, boom, search, I think I'll label it to player. Okay, so I do have a creation that's two player. Oh, hang on, if I go there and go sort by public, these are all the creations I've got up there anyone can access. If it's that icon, you can actually edit it. So if I keep going across along here somewhere, I have it. Those are previous streams. So if you want to check them out, you can. That one there. Two of me. This one here is using the one controller. But you can't have one player on one console and another player on another console. They have to be both on the same console, and you cannot have split screen. So if I choose that character there and I move it away, as you can see, the other one disappears off screen. But the way this one is set up is the left stick controls the blue character, the right stick controls the red character, and whatever character you possessed is what the controller, the square, circle, and all this stuff does. So if I possess the red one, now the red one can jump, but it's still left for red, right for red, left for blue. So you can control two characters at the same time. This was made for a hand-eye coordination style thing. If the character moves too far away from each other, as you saw, it just goes off screen, but you can also tell it that the camera is to zoom out through the options. Without plugging in a second controller, I can't really show you. There are things like this. If I open that up, go to play. when I hover the thingy over, there's an icon. The hand pops up. That's using that trigger zone. So when it detects the imp, then does something. That's what the trigger zones are best used for. And if there's anything else I can really show you. That was a test. Again, it's remixable, so you can download it. It was a test for this puppet. It's supposed to go, oh, there is something in front of me. I have to turn around. So if I move it like this, unpossessed, it'll walk. It'll go, oh, there's something there. Turn around. Keep turning until it finds an empty spot. It's supposed to be a collision detection avoidance type thing. It was just a simple test. We're trying to make it as simple as possible. As you can see, it's not the best, but it's up there. You can tweet, you can jump on, you can edit it, make it your own, fiddle with the options. There's a car, the car one that has the two things in it is another example of that. That one's one I've done. It's literally all the different materials. So you can download this, look at the settings. So if I go, for example, view, you've got your basic box, what skin would look like, metal, stone, wood, dirt, water, grass, fur, you know. These ones here are more like squishiness. That's solid. That's more like a skin, slightly squishy, and that's more like slime, so it's really squishy. You can literally download this, go into edit, left trigger a square, see the options. Use that as a guide, make your own creations, go, okay, it was that settings he's used for that, it seemed to look good, I'll do it with that. That there is a simple delay switch. So if you're trying to do, you know, the programming stuff and all that, you can literally go, okay, let's grab this, we'll remix it. There's the chip. That is literally just display, so you can see it's a switch. This here is the way I do a delay switch. If you're using this and not trying to make your own, changing this, which is currently at 5 seconds, will change how much of a delay you get. So if I go to wrong one, this one and go play. If I click a button, which one was it? I can't remember which. Circle, square? Which button? I can't remember what button I set it up to. But there's a button. Oh, hang on. Edit. Oh yeah, this one doesn't have the. Okay, I have to actually set a button up for it. Okay. So let's grab controller sensor, which is there, and we're going to go remote, and let's set it up as circle. Let's circle into there, and this here is going into that, so it lights up. That's all it does. So we're going to play now. Push circle, it lights up. It will stay lit for 5 seconds, then turn off. If you want it to be a quicker delay, stay on for less time, simply change that to 1 second. I did it. 1 second. Now when I do it, if I press the button, it'll stay lit for 1 second, then go off. So that's all it does. Is if you press it, I literally tapped, like half a second with a tap. It stays on for exactly 1 second. Generally speaking, as you can see, a lot of mine are characters. I do a lot of this sort of stuff where it's somebody else's creation, but there's, in brackets, something off with it. This one here, the head, I can't remember if it was too small or too big. I fixed that. That one there wasn't actually possessible. It was a fixed statue. I made it possessible. That one there, I fixed his hip and his knees. He had poke through. I fixed that. That one there, I just put the two together. This one here is a modular building piece. So if you want to make your own buildings, you can use that. That's a drape piece. That's a drape piece. That's meant to be for like fringes of hair or backs of hair and stuff like that. If you don't want to use the paint tool, you can use that. You just have to be careful because it uses the joins. It can be more intensive in the in bracket CPU. If I go to here and go to, we'll go to this one here, is just simply a vehicle. Him gets in it. If you got a second controller plugged in, it will sit in the passenger seat. That's all it is. It's literally just that. This one here is just a dot display. If I go into edit, then we go into view mode. It's buggy here because I was still tweaking it, but if you look over here, it's counting up. But all it is this dot display here is programmable. You can tell it when an input of a certain value is gone in. At certain values, it's to light up. Certain values, it's not to light up. And that's how you can tell it to make a 1, 2, 3. So you can see there's 100% health. If I hit square, trigger. At 99% health, you can see this says 99. Because I've told it that when a 9 value goes into that last number, each dot that's lit up is to turn on at a 9 value. But the ones that are not lit do not turn on at a 9 value. If I go into the edit mode and zoom in, you can see the little dots. So this dot here will have a value of only light up when it is everything not a 9. So when a 9 goes into it, it does not light up, and that's how it works. If you download it, there's the thing there, you can come into it, and there's the chip. Whatever's coming into it goes into there, and you can see here, there's all the values. So whatever you want it to light up to, you leave them turned on. So just so you don't want it to light up when it's a 0, you go into there, left shoulder and square, turn it off. It will then, when it's a 0, which it currently is, it will not light up. But because nothing is going in there, it's a 0, because no power is coming in. As you can see, it sends a signal up to there, and sends it out. This switch here is to turn it on. As you can see, on, off. So if I turn it on, as you can see, it's lit. But if I say, okay, do not light up at 0, turn it off, and it turns off. If I put a signal of a 1 in there, it will come to this one. It will no longer be a 0, it'll be a 1. It's allowed to light up at 1, so it'll send the power through. That's all it is. So if you want to download it, tweak it, go nuts. Everything I put up as remixable, I've literally put up in the intent of people, for example, like my lift. If you want to come on and tweak it, come on and tweak it. It's up there for you to tweak and make your own. I don't put them up there for people to come on and go, oh, okay, I'll just use it and don't think anything of it. You can do that, but it was more for people to use, tweak, and make their own. So, before this ends up being a fucking 2-hour stream, I'm going to call it there, guys. But I hope this stream helped at least somebody trying to figure out whether they want to use Dreams, how to do something in Dreams, and I've just bought it. How do I start? So if it helped anybody, by all means, I'm going to do the usual YouTuber thing here. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe, like, share, whatever they say nowadays. Like and subscribe. I would say if you dislike it, give it a thumbs down. But YouTube, Twitter, they're all trying to get rid of the thumbs down. But if you think the content is bad, by all means, give it a thumbs down. Like I don't care for the thumbs up or thumbs downs or anything like that. If I get the views and it helps at least one person, I am happy. I don't care if I get one view, 100 views, 1,000 views, 1,000,000 views. It's like, that doesn't bother me. Same with the likes. I don't care if I get 100 dislikes. I don't care if I get 100 likes. So long as it helps at least one person, or one person watched it and found it to be either entertaining or helpful, I am happy. So that's what my YouTube videos are always about. Helping people, venting, entertaining myself, and hopefully some viewers. That is it. So I'm out of here. Stay safe, look after each other, and I will catch you all next time. Adios.